What will be the true secret of wealth? Have you ever asked it to yourself? Do you think wealth is just about money and possessions? Or is there something deeper, something that goes beyond the simple accumulation of material goods? If you are tired of dealing with financial problems, and if you want to find out how to get rich with a secret Buddhist formula, don't miss this video. We will take you on an extraordinary journey to the heart of Japan, where an elderly Zen monk will share with us the secret formula for attracting true wealth. The formula thanks to which you can protect yourself from poverty and achieve a life full of prosperity and inner peace. But it is not a magic or a trick, but rather a path of personal and spiritual growth that will lead you towards a richer and more fulfilling life. And if you stay until the end of the video, you will discover the true meaning of wealth, very different from what you might think. And you will learn the 3 fundamental principles for attracting spiritual wealth and how to apply these principles in your daily life. Are you ready to discover the secret to true wealth? Then sit back and listen to this story. But first, if you are not yet one of us, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to be informed when we publish new content for your spiritual growth. The sun was setting behind the mountains, painting the sky in shades of gold and orange. A gentle wind blew through the branches of the blossoming cherry trees, bringing with it the sweet scent of spring. In the heart of Japan, immersed in the quiet of an ancient forest, stood the ancient Zen monastery of Tofuku-ji, a place of peace and meditation, where time seemed to pass more slowly. A group of pilgrims, who had come from every corner of the country, had gathered in the main hall of the monastery, eager to listen to the teachings of the venerable monk Kenshin. Kenshin was an elderly man with a face marked by time and eyes that shone with wisdom. He was known for his deep understanding of Buddhist spirituality and his ability to convey complex teachings in a simple and accessible way. That evening, Kenshin had decided to talk about a topic that aroused great interest among those present: how to attract wealth and protect oneself from poverty. But he would not only have talked about material wealth, but also about spiritual and internal wealth. Dear friends, the monk began in a calm, deep voice. I am pleased to see you here, eager to learn the secret formula for attracting wealth and fighting poverty. This formula, handed down by ancient Buddhist sages, does not concern the accumulation of material goods, but the cultivation of inner wealth. And you will discover, perhaps amazed, that if you manage to cultivate inner wealth, material wealth will also come. The pilgrims listened attentively, enraptured by the monk's words. Their greatest desire was to be able to live a life free of hardship and rich from all points of view. Among them was Hiroshi, a young merchant from Kyoto. Hiroshi had always been ambitious and determined, but recently he felt dissatisfied. He had achieved some success in business, running a fine fabric shop in the heart of the city, but his life seemed empty, devoid of meaning. Hiroshi had grown up in a merchant family where the value of money and material goods had always been emphasized. Since he was a child, he had been taught that success was measured in wealth and social prestige. He had worked hard to achieve his goals, but now, faced with success, he felt empty and dissatisfied. True wealth, Kenshin continued, is not measured in money or possessions, but in inner peace, emotional balance, mental well-being, and spiritual growth. True wealth, my dear children, is the ability to live in harmony with ourselves and with the world around us. Hiroshi nodded, considering the monk's words. He had always thought of wealth in material terms, but now he began to understand that there was something more important. The secret formula for attracting this wealth, Kenshin continued, is based on 3 fundamental principles: generosity, gratitude, and compassion. Kenshin explained that generosity is not just giving money or material goods, but also sharing one's time, knowledge, and energy with others. Gratitude, on the other hand, is the ability to appreciate what you have instead of focusing on what is missing. Finally, compassion is empathy towards the pain and suffering of others and the desire to alleviate them. By practicing these three principles, Kenshin said, we open our hearts to spiritual riches. Generosity frees us from attachment to material goods. Gratitude fills us with joy, and compassion connects us to other living beings. Hiroshi listened with growing interest. Kenshin's words resonated within him, as if they had awakened something that had remained dormant for too long. Kenshin emphasized that spiritual wealth is not a goal to be achieved, but a path to be followed. It is a process of personal and spiritual growth that requires commitment, discipline, and patience. Don't expect immediate results, Kenshin warned. Spiritual wealth is accumulated gradually, day after day, through the constant practice of generosity, gratitude, and compassion. But I assure you that the benefits you will derive from it will be immense and will allow you to achieve both your economic and inner peace goals. Hiroshi felt more and more motivated. He was ready to embark on this journey towards inner wealth, and he would do it thanks to his mentor. Spiritual wealth, Kenshin continued, is the most precious treasure we can possess. It is the key to a full, happy, and meaningful life. Therefore, I urge you to cultivate it with commitment and dedication, and to share it with others. At the end of this interesting lesson on wealth, Hiroshi approached Kenshin because he had a desire to delve further into the topic. Master, he asked respectfully, your words touched me deeply. I have always thought of wealth in material terms, but now I understand that there is something much more important. Kenshin smiled benevolently. I'm glad to hear that, Hiroshi. Spiritual wealth is a treasure that we can all discover within ourselves. But how can I really start cultivating it? How can I make sure that my mind isn't attracted only to material wealth? Hiroshi asked. It begins with generosity, Kenshin replied. Donate your time, your knowledge, and your energy to others. Help those in difficulty. Offer your support to those in need. Hiroshi promised to follow Kenshin's advice and in the following days, began to dedicate part of this time to helping those in need. He distributed food to the poor, visited the lonely elderly, and offered his help to orphan children. And as he dedicated himself to others, he began to feel a joy and satisfaction that he had never known before. He felt lighter, freer, more connected to the world around him. So he began spending time at the monastery, learning Zen meditation and deepening his understanding of Buddhism. One day, while he was meditating in the Zen garden, Hiroshi had an epiphany. He understood that his dissatisfaction stemmed from attachment to material goods and the constant search for ephemeral success. So he decided to change his life, to dedicate himself to cultivating inner wealth and to share his teachings with others. He began holding meetings in his shop, where he shared the lessons he learned from Kenshin with his customers and employees. He spoke about the importance of generosity, gratitude, and compassion, and how these virtues could enrich their lives. At first, some people were skeptical. They too were used to thinking about wealth in material terms and struggled to understand the concept of spiritual wealth. But Hiroshi didn't give up. He continued to share his teachings with passion and conviction, and gradually people began to listen to him. One day, an old samurai named Takeshi entered Hiroshi's shop. He was a respected man in the community, but was also known for his gruff and grumpy character. Hiroshi welcomed him kindly and offered him some tea. As they drank tea, Hiroshi began to talk about spiritual wealth. Takeshi listened silently, a look of skepticism on his face. But as Hiroshi continued to speak, Takeshi began to change his attitude. The merchant's words resonated within him, as if they had awakened something that had remained dormant for too long. And at the end of the conversation, Takeshi thanked Hiroshi for his teachings. I never thought a merchant could teach me something so important, he said. But your words have opened my eyes. I have spent my life chasing glory and power, but now I understand that true wealth is something much deeper. Hiroshi and Takeshi became friends, and together they began to spread Kenshin's teachings in the community. They organized meetings, seminars, and retreats, helping people discover inner wealth. The fame of Hiroshi and Takeshi spread throughout the country, and soon Tofuku-ji Monastery became a place of pilgrimage for those seeking true wealth. One day, an imperial messenger arrived at the monastery. The emperor himself had heard of the teachings of Kenshin and Hiroshi and wished to meet them. Kenshin, Hiroshi, and Takeshi went to the imperial court. The emperor welcomed them with great honor and invited them to share their teachings. Hiroshi spoke about his personal experience, how he discovered inner richness, and how this discovery transformed his life. The emperor listened with great attention, and at the end of the meeting asked Hiroshi to become his spiritual advisor. Hiroshi accepted the assignment with gratitude and humility. He knew this was a great responsibility, but he knew it was also a unique opportunity to spread Kenshin's teachings and help the emperor rule with wisdom and compassion. Hiroshi moved to the court and began to work closely with the emperor. He advised him on political, economic, and social issues, always keeping in mind the importance of spiritual wealth. The emperor, in turn, listened carefully to Hiroshi's advice and began to put Buddhists under Hiroshi's leadership. The emperor began to promote policies aimed at improving the well-being of the population. He reduced taxes, invested in education and healthcare, and promoted social justice. The country began to prosper, not only economically, but also spiritually. Thus, Hiroshi's fame spread throughout Japan, and many other rulers began to seek his advice. But one day, Hiroshi received a letter from Kenshin. The old monk was ill and wanted to see Hiroshi one last time. Hiroshi immediately went to Tofuku-ji Monastery. Kenshin lay on his deathbed, but his face was serene and his eyes still shone with wisdom. "Hiroshi," Kenshin said in a weak voice, "I am happy to see you. You have done a good job. You have spread my teachings and helped many people find true wealth." "All thanks to you, Master," Hiroshi replied. "You were the one who showed me the way." "Remember, Hiroshi," said the monk, "spiritual wealth is a precious gift. Share it with others, and your life will be full of joy and meaning." Kenshin closed his eyes and expired. Hiroshi mourned his teacher's death, but knew that his teaching would live on forever. But what does this story teach us? That the secret Buddhist formula for attracting wealth is actually not a secret, but a path of personal and spiritual growth. It is a path that requires commitment and dedication, but which leads to a richer and more meaningful life. Remember that by practicing generosity, gratitude, and compassion, we can discover the true wealth that lies within us. And in this way, we will also attract the economic well-being we need to live a peaceful and meaningful life.